Welcome back once again. It's time for LG up against Monkey Madness. These two teams, Taco, should be a spicy one.
It should be a really fun matchup, actually, between these two teams because, again, two teams that are pretty much regarded as top 3 as far as North America is concerned.
Well, let's go into picks and bans straight away and see how this one begins. LG, probably the favourites still coming into this one, even though MM have been putting on a bit of a show just lately.
I think MM have really proven that they're a dominant force to be reckoned with. I think particularly andinster and Homiefe have really found their dual synergy, and the way that they're able to play off of each other is certainly something for Luminosity to keep in mind.
Did you really bring chips to a cast?
I didn't bring them to a cast, Hindu. I was snacking. I'm allowed to snack throughout the day.
You're gonna eat these during broadcasts?
No,
is that the plan?
I'm not. No, I had it in my hands when I walked over here, and I didn't know where else to put them. Why are you calling me out, my Cheetos, man?
I'm sorry, I've just never seen anyone bring chips to a broadcast before. I'm like, okay, I'm kind of confused. Notice I call them chips too. Getting in the American style. Nemesis, first pick. How do we feel about that? We've seen it a couple of times today.
I feel called out right now. That's how I feel, but
don't leave chips out there. Don't bring chips to a cast.
All right. Anyway, I like the Nemesis selection personally because it will kind of deter Luminosity from trying to go for a tank-heavy composition like we've been seeing from other teams today.
Not even good chips. Terra, Sol locked in for Luminosity now. Do you expect the Sol to be in the mid lane for Baskin, or will we see a bit of BaRRaCCuDDa Sol action like we did out of Snoopy? Barra used to love his Sol.
Barra used to love his soul, but I do still feel as though magical carries tend to get punished a little bit easier in that dual lane. And while we saw Vetium actually get away with it in EU with Freya, I can't anticipate the same kind of, I guess, easiness for Bear to pull off that soul.
Okay, well, Khepri Scylla locked in, so Scylla more than likely for andinster in the mid lane, obviously. Very mid to late game composition from Monkey Madness so far.
And I actually like their composition. They have the survivability that you want for the Scylla. If you're going to pick a mage that can all-in burst somebody, you might want to make sure that she's protected. And I think the Khepri and the Nemesis are excellent for that. Well, annoying to deal with.
So Wukong, Medusa, last 2 picks for Monkey, and then Thor is the final pick for Luminosity. How are you feeling about the teams?
I kind of like Monkey Madness's draft a little bit more, but I think that Luminosity will have the execution necessary to potentially find a victory as well. Well,
we'll see, because Hoyi Sol, pretty decent damage dealers. Sol, very difficult to gank in the position in the mid lane as well. It's good to see Baskin playing it, though, because Baskin, it's nice to see him, even though we spoke a bit about Baskin being okay in the mid lane, we've not seen too much of his playstyle so far, because he's had a very limited god pool.
I don't think his god pool has really been that limited, though. I think he just hasn't really had a need to flex it, and so having this soul available, it seems to be a hot new flavor for a lot of the mid laners.
And that may be what it is flavor of the month, because we've not had a flavor of the month for a little while now. Obviously, Osiris, Bellona, Ravano being considered as flavor for a little bit. The one previously, I guess, would be said Poseidon. And andinster just going to avoid that stellar burst from Baskin. Both the solo lanes are hanging around here. Keep an eye on fineokay. He's in mid lane now, and I don't think Luminosity recognize it until it's too late. Mask, it was a trap, and Mask will be first blood. Homiefe getting the kill. Very important for the Monkeys to give someone like a Nemesis an early first kill.
And that gank has been all too frequent for the past couple of months, really. Yeah. And I'm kind of surprised that more teams haven't started to take a little bit more care with that mid lane gank.
Do you know what, Taco? The one thing that's changed, right, is that gank from the solo lanes in the mid lane now reminds me of the support run in and hog. Do you remember that? Like, support would run in, hog the red buff, and walk away giggling. That's kind of the same thing as these solo lanes now, where they walk into mid lane, giggle, get a kill, and walk out again.
Some Wukong's the right target for that as well, considering that with the Tiger Stun being available, it was all too easy for MM to just lock down Mask.
Well, BaRRa and Jeff in the duo lane continuing to pressure out Medusa and Khepri. Surprisingly enough, both of them have purples and red buffs to their name too. But BaRRa and Jeff, they've been around for a while together. Vetium and Jigz still finding their synergy this year.
Vetium and Jigz still finding their synergy, but I think that they still know each other well enough to work together strongly, although I can't really compare it to the Sex Tank, of course.
Sure. I mean, those two have been together forever.
Actually, forever.
It really is forever. It's crazy when you think about how long they've been as a team together. Oracle's going to go the way of Luminosity here, so far so good for Luminosity. Even though they lost first blood, they're doing a good job of trying to catch back up in terms of experience so far.
It is pretty unfortunate, though, that first blood went the way of Homiefe, because having a Nemesis with an early game start is not the direction you want to be headed.
Well, for the time being, you can see the farming up, everyone looking to try and hit level 5 as quick as possible. A little bit of a lead for Homiefe, obviously, in the jungle, thanks to the first blood. And do we expect to see maybe focus the solo lane a little bit once he's online, or is there any sort of potential you want to see a jungler go to?
I would imagine Homiefe to probably place more emphasis onto the solo lane, just because that's kind of what Nemesis wants to do, is focus down the tanky gods, as opposed to Mask, who I think will probably have a little bit more freedom to try and gank Andy or even Vetium in that duo lane.
Well, the red buff's online still for Vetium, just about to wear off now, as is BaRRaCCuDDa. That ricochet was nice to hit both of them, just trying to make sure that the monkeys have to play respectful in this lane as the mini wave is coming in as well.
Gotta show off the flashy plays every now and then.
You can eat your chips now, it's boring. Do you want to eat them?
I'm gonna have to pass on that one. I don't like when people can hear me chewing. It makes me feel uncomfortable.
Okay. Why did you bring them to casting? I'm still confused.
Okay, I just had them in my hand, Hindu. Like, I didn't know I can't just drop a bag of chips on the floor.
But you can bring them to cast with you, like you're gonna get time to eat them.
Look, Tom gave me a really good discount on these, and I just couldn't pass up the opportunity.
That was good. That needs to be clipped. Tom will not be happy about you saying that, but the rest of the world will be. That was a good joke. I'm impressed. I love the fact that when people broadcast with me now, they make jokes about other people instead of trying to make jokes about me, because it's not going to work.
Oh, your time is coming.
One day.
Don't even worry about it.
Really, Taco?
You have no idea the kind of anger that a Hispanic woman can harness.
Listen, girl, don't cash checks your body cannot cash. I'm just saying. Or your mouth at least can't cash, that's for sure. You got no chance there. The farm off is just continuing right now. Gold Fury could be a potential thing here, but with the red buff coming up, I think all 4 members of Luminosity just want to make sure they get that for themselves. The question is, who do they give that red buff to? It looks like it's going to be BaRRaCCuDDa. Do we like that?
I would prefer BaRRaCCuDDa to take this red buff every single time, because you can kind of anticipate Vetium to receive this same red buff. It just benefits ADCs early on a lot more. The in-hand auto attack damage is just insane.
Is there certain hunters that actually benefit more from the red buff than others, though?
Oh, definitely.
What's the chance?
I mean, Hu-Yi and Medusa are 2 primary targets. I think that it's also really strong on her, although we don't see a lot of on-her play. Rom can also benefit with it because of the astral arrow damage that he gets, so he already has the bonus damage on top of red buff. So it can come into play, but in general, I'd say it's never a bad look for a hunter to pick up the red buff early on.
Now, with both these 2 teams competing for the top spots in North America, I expected it to be kind of this way at the start of the game, mainly farming off, and I think actually with Homiefe getting that first kill, it slowed down Luminosity, maybe getting a little bit aggressive with Mask in the jungle, just to wait out a few more seconds before we see any sort of real aggression between the 2 teams. We may see it around the Gold Fury, though, although Monkey's just willing to give up those oracles.
Jigz wasn't ready at the mid lane area to try and help fight with his team to secure those. So he had backed, and you can't blame him for backing. He needs to buy eventually. And I do agree with MM's decision to just not look for the aggressive route.
I do want to see this matchup between fineokay and ScaryD, though, because both these players have similar histories in my eyes of coming up through the ranks, relatively being unknowns, and then making it in the Pro League and being respected and being on teams like Monkey Madness and Luminosity.
Although I think ScaryD might be getting the worst end of the trade, forced into his ultimate off of Homiefe, but the tides could be turning. Homiefe using his beads to escape from Mask.
And the cloud is down for fineokay, but fineokay low on mana here as well, but the wall being used by Mask there, looking to secure the elemental, and does so. So in the end, the fight's pretty much a wash for the time being as everybody falls back to their own side of the map.
Very solid gank by Homiefe. It was just the return by Mask was just as strong. Gotta enjoy that little bit of counter-aggression. BaRRa's trying to get cheeky.
He was looking for the ricochets, but actually at the same time, Vetium's winning this trade now, just slowly poking down BaRRaCCuDDa, and in a better position with the wave clear advantage that he has of having the acid spit when the ricochet is on cooldown.
Vetium just spitting on BaRRa. Spitting in his face.
Really?
It's kind of mean.
Is that where you're at now? Did I throw you off that much with the chips that you're going to make comments like that now?
No, it's just
Mask
everybody
with a double tap,
mode.
going to get some nice damage off onto Jigz and andinster, but Homiefe there might be able to turn that around. The Hammer Monster didn't hit onto Mask that we were looking for, so Mask will still survive. You can even see the solo lanes, but considering getting involved in this one, these fights are very, very close, but everyone's still alive.
I also just realized that Mask is actually slightly ahead of Homiefe in experience, which after falling to First Blood, and Homiefe was 4 when he was 3, that's smart and efficient farming by Mask.
For sure, and on top of that, what you could actually see coming out from Homiefe there is he did try and put some pressure onto the right-hand side, but he didn't get any farm during that time where Mask did. On that little engagement, the Elemental stolen away adds up in that experience gain and loss versus each other too. Still a disciplined game at 7 minutes in. BaRRA level 8, Vetium level 8. JeffHindla going to join in the wave here, equal with his opposition too. Has gone for the reinforced boots here, so he's expecting to take a lot of damage this game.
You kind of just want Jeff to be that tanky frontliner, especially with his ultimate providing so much survivability to him. If he can be the person tanking up all the damage, it'll just permit Scary D to run pretty free in the backline.
Bit of just a waiting game again. I'm just so surprised by how much of a waiting game it is. I expected either fireworks or just a farm off, and it is literally just that for the time being, as Jigz going to get given the purple buff again. Both the supports went for Sunday here, which we'll see if that changes once the new patch hits. I'm not sure if it will, though.
I'm not certain. It's hard to tell sometimes, though, because sometimes pro players don't realize how much they actually enjoy an item until later on, when it's already received a buff or two.
Well, Oracle's about to respawn here, and Monkeys are in position to try and secure this one for themselves. You can see them flashing now. Right-hand side, though. Bit of a different story. Homiefe getting a little bit aggressive on that path in through the mid lane, and I think that was a terrible mistake, because the Supernova's used, and Mask is there to pick him up. Homiefe's path in cost him a kill. His life, I should say.
Fortunately for Andy, Mask walled just off the mark from trapping him on the opposite side. Had andinster been caught inside of his ultimate, he probably would have been toast too.
And now with that one little player mid lane from Homiefe, he's given Luminosity a chance for the Gold Fury here. Medusa's coming around from Vetium, going to try and get the Petrify off if he needs to. But Mask on zone duty, going to get ruined in place by Jigz and sundered. No real follow-up damage other than the enhance coming out from Vetium there. And it's Jigz who needs more damage, but andinster got a lot of free damage off as well.
But the rotation by fineokay TPing into the back line after everybody took so much damage from Vetium. Scary D's running him down, but fineokay's dealing with the rest of Luminosity.
Baskin baits fineokay real bad with the Aegis and gets hold of the kill. Meanwhile, Scary D picks up Vetium, and andinster is now on his own, has to Sentinel away. If Baskin died there, I think that game is completely different, Taco, but the fact he had the Aegis available still, fineokay fell for the bait.
That's a pretty... that active is really a clincher, I would say, for Baskin.
Oh, you don't like Aegis?
What?
You think it's OP?
I don't have an issue with Aegis. I think it's a necessary evil.
Yes, sometimes there is.
So you have to have something for those kind of circumstances.
I am a necessary evil.
I don't know about
Think
that
about
one.
it. I am a necessary evil just like Aegis and Beads and Sunday. No, not really. I'm not Sunday. I'm not that bad. That's terrible. Right-hand side, the Elementals are going to go the way of Homiefe here. The Gold Fury still stands, though, and you can see that with Homiefe in this right-hand side, and they've got a ward on him there just by him. They're going to immediately commit once again Luminosity to the Gold Fury. andinster's on his way, has his ultimate available, pops it early, going to look for the steal. Too little, too late. JeffHindla eats a bit of damage from that, but Baskin and Luminosity get the first Gold Fury before the 10-minute mark.
Jeff will happily face tank Andy's ult every single time if it means a Gold Fury in return, and I'm sure that Luminosity are definitely happy about that one, and it's establishing the first real lead of the game.
But it's not much of a lead still, Taco, is it? It's only 1,100 gold. The experience, 2,000 at 10 minutes. I guess you're on the right path.
It's on the right path. Jigz caught out a little bit. Good disengage by Luminosity.
That was great work there, because actually the Terra pillar, the monolith, and now Mask going to reinitiate, now looking for some gap close, and it's Jigz is the focus. He's going to have to ult himself. fineokay turns up on some Wukong, but he can't get in there enough to stop Mask picking up the kill with a double tap, and Scary D is just going to make sure the rest of Luminosity can walk away. He's going to zone them away with a big baby. Another kill for Luminosity.
Normally you'd be upset watching Luminosity place so much emphasis onto a Khepri, but this is the stage of the game where Khepri is most vulnerable.
Sure.
You want to make him use his ultimate on himself every single time, because that just deters MM from having any sort of follow-up potential. You go in since the Khepri ultimate is available, but Jigz has like no chance of living.
And the reason you go in on the Khepri or the Guardians early on is because they've not got those aura items online yet. You can see he's trying to work on the Gauntlet of Thebes, but with it not being finished just yet, he's still vulnerable to all the damage. He's got no real protections online outside of that Watcher's Gift.
unlike Jeff, who has already finished his Thieves, he's got the reinforced Greave, so he's already fairly tanky.
It's funny because when you look back at this game so far, Homiefe's little mistake in the mid lane of his pathing through mid instead of going down maybe near the right-hand element. Harpies there has hurt them a little bit, and now Luminosity, after getting the Gold Fury, go to the objective on the right-hand side and look to get hold of the Portal Demon. That was close from Jigz with the dot damage, but Luminosity get the Portal Demon. Homiefe looking to clean up Baskin. Aegis again at the perfect timing means Homiefe will not get a kill.
Aegis and the Terra ultimate just to ensure that he has the movement speed available to escape in case any other members from MM were trying to follow suit.
A little bit surprised by Vetium back in the mid lane there when he could have looked for some pressure onto the tier 2 tower, but I guess he was worried about the Portal Demon, people running back through, and also the left-hand side getting pushed in by BaRRaCCuDDa at the same time.
You never want to leave BaRRa alone to free farm either. I think BaRRa is probably one of the scarier players in NA right now to just leave for free farming because you know that he's going to be an effective presence in any team fight.
Although we have seen teams around Worlds, if you remember, there was multiple times where Luminosity kind of the teams against Luminosity left BaRRaCCuDDa alone and just ignored him completely and then killed everybody else on Luminosity over and over, and BaRRa couldn't do anything. Is that a wise idea sometimes?
I mean, but he's playing against another NA team.
That's true.
That was EU.
That's true.
And people keep saying EU OP, so might be a little difference over there.
Maybe the monkeys could have taken a look at that one. Scaredy up against fineokay. We mentioned it earlier. Already can see the builds coming through here. Scaredy with that breastplate of valor so far. fineokay, bit of a different story in terms of hers build, going for the gladiator shield this time round.
I like that by fineokay to just try and keep Scaredy in the lane as long as possible.
Just poke him out and try and make him use the teleport or miss minions in the wave if possible. And he uses a double tap in mid lane. Not too much damage, but enough to just make sure andinster is a little bit more careful here. Jeff floating around again. But for me so far, this game has all come down to Mask. It's the initiations from the Thor that have really made an impact in this game.
And the counter initiations.
Yeah.
I think that capitalizing on even the slightest out of positioning by MM it just goes to show how much the team as a whole and even like the individual play style of Mask has like improved significantly throughout his time in the SPL.
Completely agree. Small mistakes could be the path. Scaredy gonna go and check the speed buff and blue buff to see if they're available right now, but Homiefe is already hanging around here knowing his speed is up soon, and you really need that as a Nemesis.
It's nice to have because Nemesis is one of those guys that you just want to run everybody down with. Whoever you use your ultimate on, you don't want to give up the chase.
So we'll see what he can end up doing with that. Now he's picked it up for himself. Scaredy's pushed out into the wave, but fineokay. He's looking for his blue buff right now. Scaredy doesn't have anything to farm, but he may find out the monkey's doing his buff at the same time if he so chooses. It's just a farming moment until the next Gold Fury appears.
I am just as surprised as you, though, that they are playing it slightly more passive than what I anticipated.
It feels EU, right?
Not necessarily feels EU. It just feels like both of these teams are kind of hesitant and that they don't want to be the one to make the first mistake because they know just how critical this game
Homiefe goes in on Mask. Mask takes this guy straight away to avoid some of that damage coming in from Vetium. Mask holding in the air, thinking about his options, will disengage. The call is from Luminosity. And now they're going to go for the oracles just to make sure they can secure them at the same time. Luminosity come out with a win there when you think about the investment used by both teams.
Having Oracle Vision is always significant for BaRRaCCuDDa in that dual lane. Now he won't have to worry about Homiefe wrapping around since he has the free Oracle Vision.
Actually, surprisingly enough, I thought it was Luminosity that came on top. It was Monkeys that came on top. Only Homiefe was used there, whereas Luminosity used 3 on the defense to make sure Mask would survive.
Nothing wrong with expending a couple of ultimates, though. The Gold Fury has just respawned. But with Luminosity having the vision, that's not exactly the worst case scenario.
So what's the plan right now? Who's got an advantage going into the mid game? Because at 15 minutes, I can class this as mid game now. The Nemesis, the Scylla starting to come online. Vetium's going to be swinging too, obviously. Is there an advantage for either team? Obviously, I mentioned all monkeys there, but Luminosity's got a pretty solid squad too.
Well, for MM, what they really need to worry about is getting their single target burst. That's kind of the only thing you're focusing on with the Nemesis. You need the Nemesis and Scylla to blow somebody up.
Well, Gold Fury free for the Luminosity. Luminosity clearly been watching some EU. They were saying to themselves that was an issue. Mask in the sky looking for Vetium potentially, who got hit by a Sunder earlier on. And the revive from Jigz is beautiful. BaRRaCCuDDa's in trouble. fineokay was trying to get over the wall with a monkey, but he can't. So andinster had to give chase on the left-hand side, which left Vetium still exposed, and he got picked off for free. Jeff gets credit for the kill. BaRRaCCuDDa survives, and now andinster surrounded by multiple targets. Gets a huge armor monster, but it's not enough for a kill. fineokay still gets to clean up with Homiefe, and Homiefe will do just that onto ScaryD.
But Baskin's been absolutely tearing into the team of MM with these in-hands. fineokay able to clean them up in the backline.
Homiefe still going in once BaRRaCCuDDa, but the in-hands from Baskin are wrecking havoc. And in the end, BaRRaCCuDDa turns around and goes, "You what, mate?" Slaps him in the face with the auto, and down he goes too. 8-4, Luminosity have a gold lead. Let's go to the graphs and see what's happened here.
A 4-for-2 trade plus a gold fury. Luminosity are taking that home all day long.
Crazy fight though. What exactly went wrong there? Because it looked like BaRRaCCuDDa and Vetium were both focused targets.
BaRRaCCuDDa and Vetium were both focused targets, but the problem was Vetium got resurrected into 4 people pincering down onto MM, and that was the real issue.
Look at that team fight. Look at that team fight. 30 damage difference between the winning team and the losing team. That's all it came down to here. Not only will Luminosity get the Gold Fury, win the team fight, they're going to get the Portal Demon too. And this is starting to become a bit of an issue now because the gap is growing and growing, where Monkeys just seem to let off the gas after losing the team fight and realize there's other things on the map that could be taken.
I'm really just commending Luminosity for their objective control so far, and especially against a team like MM. Both of these teams are held pretty highly right now in NA, so for Lumi to be getting the better end of these trades so frequently, it just goes to show how much they've been striving to really improve.
I'm just going to get the left-hand Harpies here as Luminosity going to see a couple of members head back to base, going to continue to pick up a couple more items. Heartseeker online for Mask. Not something we see too often here, Taco.
It's not something we've seen in a while at least, and I actually don't dislike it.
What is it you like about it?
Well, it provides him a little bit of movement speed, which is kind of ideal. And speaking of ideal, ScaryD, that was quite a man fight between those two.
Surprising to see ScaryD used a Sunder there, thinking he could burst fineokay down just in time, but it was just a little bit too, not as much damage as he was hoping for. And in the end, fineokay comes out on top because he didn't use his ultimate or his Sunder.
Yeah, going back to what I was saying about the Heartseeker, I mean, you get the little bit extra movement speed, which is pretty useful against a Nemesis in particular, because you kind of just want that escape option. And then on top of that, the way that it procs with the ability usage, Thor is a pretty ability-dependent god, so it just ends up working out really well.
Would you expect to see a Wingblade maybe coming out from a couple of members of Luminosity now, especially up against the Nemesis and a Scylla with those crushes that slow too?
They're going to need to start building Wingblades. I would love to see a Wingblade on Jeff. He's finished off Sovereignty and he's got Thief, so he's plenty of health, a little bit of aura. That's enough for his teammates. I think that he could start becoming a high priority target. At the same time, though, they could probably get away with not building Wingblades just yet, simply because of the Terra ultimate. Well,
the one thing that you've seen a couple of times from Guardians as the game goes on is once the Sunder hits them when they try and engage, they can disappear in a minute. So we'll see how Jeff performs up against Jigz here. He does have a 2-level lead right now, and this wraparound could spell problems for the Monkeys. The focus seems to be on Jigz for a second. Split the difference, though, as Homiefe got rooted in place from Jeff's focus. And in the end, the fight doesn't really unfold as much as they wanted to, and andinster gets the better trade up against Baskin. But with ScaryD and BaRRaCCuDDa now closing in, bit of a pincer move from Luminosity.
I think Luminosity have their sights on this T1 tower. fineokay starting to make the rotation to help out his team, but they're still a little bit too thinly spread.
Well, this is 2 Hunters, don't forget, technically, with Assault and the whole Yi on the squad. Towers won't take too long to bring down. That's why the whole of the Monkeys have had to group up as a team, but Luminosity feel confident. The pressure in the Tier 1 tower is already going to fall down before the fight unfolds. And when you think about that, Mask is now in the sky and he comes down at the same time. Vetium eats a lot of that poke thanks to the Aegis usage. He doesn't take too much damage out of it, and now it's Luminosity trying to back away after getting the Tier 1 tower.
And Ricochet just hit 3 different people.
Yeah. All 3 did not expect that to hit. Mask now going to double tap Vetium, who has no relics available. Vetium's position going to be very careful here. Jigz has to be hovering over that situation. But ScaryD now turns up. Luminosity on decent health once again. The Monkeys poked out just a little bit here.
Fortunately for MM, they started turning tail at the right time because ScaryD was making his way back to the lane with that teleport. And I think if they'd lingered a little bit longer or debated trying to get some exchange poke of their own, that would have certainly turned into a potential team wipe.
Sure. Well, the only thing separating these 2 teams right now is those 2 Gold Furies and the Portal Demons, I guess, too. The gold is pretty much only come from them, Taco. The game itself is still even outside of those objectives.
But it's just so much easier for Luminosity, I think, to find the favorable team fight scenarios. It's like I mentioned, with Nemesis, the whole game plan and mindset is just to try and 100, like, one-shot somebody, essentially. You just want to Nemo, Scylla ult.
Gold Fury start up again. Jigz, so double tap and a nice stellar burst too. Mast goes straight to the sky, probably looking for Jigz here, who's going to try and jump to the right second, but no. Mast ain't more potent than he like to, thanks to andinster and that crush damage, so he's going to fall back instead. Luminosity still hanging around with 4 members at the Gold Fury that's at half health. Mask will teleport straight back in. We didn't mention he's got teleport in this game, but he's feeling very confident about it.
And I love the usage of teleport here. It's allowing Luminosity to remain so aggressive. Scary D zoning out the entirety of MM.
I can't believe with just a wall and Scary D, the Luminosity get a Gold Fury for free. No real contest out of the monkeys there. Vetium ult used, Homiefe's ult down too. Works out for Luminosity, and this is an adaptation that Luminosity were talking about. BaRRA himself was saying, NA sucks because EU just have better objective control. Luminosity is showing how much they've invested into learning this now, up against another top-tier North American team.
Luminosity also aren't hesitating. I think that MM are kind of expecting, hey, we've got our entire team here, so you guys are obviously not just going to try and commit to this, and then it's just, oh, okay, you did.
You did do it. 3 times so far. This time though, the Portal Demon has respawned, and Luminosity won't go straight to it and get it because monkeys have kind of adapted to that now. Hanging around this area, Jigz going to get some from this right-hand side with fineokay. And so far, so good if you're a Luminosity fan, to be honest. Monkeys aren't too far behind, though, still. They still have a fantastic late game as we start to approach that.
A lot of potential, too, because the second that MM get a single pick on Luminosity, that's all they really need to just gas pedal the entire team down and just chase them and look for, so they just keep picking them off one by one. But if they keep trying to take on the group team fight, I don't think that they'll be able to find the better trade against Luminosity's draft.
Luminosity around the Fire Giant once again. Ward's starting to come down from both teams around here. And we may see a straight up 5-on-5 around this Portal Demon and Fire Giant. They're both solo laners. Sorry, fineokay still on the right hand side defending against Mask right now. But he's going to be careful about positioning because Scary D's going to try and close the gap. Bird form used, and it's to farming up the mid lane as Luminosity rotate back towards the Portal Demon and Fire Giant.
And Luminosity know that their draft is pretty sick as far as objective control, secure, and zoning is concerned.
Portal Demon pulled once again by BaRRaCCuDDa, and this speeds down early, and that's still a burst. Wrecked havoc. fineokay comes around the corner though, just to try and force the Luminosity back for a second, and just does just that. The Stoner guy was proc though, so he's not got knock-up immune anymore. Mask in the sky. But I'm not sure he's going to come down. He will be on the Portal Demon. Portal Demon getting lower. And a monster is going to hit Mask, not the Portal Demon. Portal Demon still aggro by both teams as well and still alive as the crush comes through. It goes down and Luminosity get it. Not sure who got credit for that one whatsoever. fineokay's cloud is down too as they try to focus Scary D. Scary D falls back towards his team once again. And it's a win for Luminosity.
I'm fairly confident that that was due to BaRRaCCuDDa's ultimate being dropped on top of the Portal Demon. The Sun's still very strong, secure, and MM couldn't really afford to stick around and try and fight the Portal Demon there because they got so poked out.
Look at this though. Monkeys have sent 3 members back to base. Luminosity sent the whole team back, but they had a portal to come through, and I don't think Monkeys were ready for this at all. The zone duty from Mask and Scary D is already on point. This Fire Giant could be dead before anyone really gets here.
Baskin has ultimate.
andinster around the left-hand side might be trying to come in round here, but he's going to be too late as well. Fire Giant for Luminosity, 4-3.
There's no contest. andinster, even if Andy had made it back in time, I think he would have been blown up the second he stepped foot towards that Fire Giant pit to try and get his crush down.
Yeah, none of the ultimates were available for monkeys there at all, and Luminosity just went, well, let's force this objective like we have every other objective pretty much so far this game and continue this pressure.
It just seems like MM don't really know how to properly respond to the objective fights by Luminosity because Luminosity are just steadily baiting them in and forcing them to take the fight or leave.
I think the biggest issue monkeys have this game is where is the actual engage? The engage is Homiefe ulting. The engage is fineokay charging in to the back line trying to cause issues. Or it's potentially a Jigz, Vetium ultimate, I guess, or Jigz route into abduct. They're all very awkward things to really engage a team fight. So they're having to now wait back for Luminosity to engage. But Luminosity aren't doing that. They're just standing in front of them like, we're not going to engage, but we're going to start doing objectives at the same time.
Every single time that Homiefe has tried to drop his ult onto somebody, it's just been Terra blessing.
fineokay could be in a lot of trouble here. Which option is he going to take? So the south is the option, but But the crew of Luminosity were waiting. Luckily enough, Bird Form will get him away for now, but that ultimate is down. And with Luminosity already having the Fire Giant buff, it opens them up to get the Tier 1 tower. Andy waiting here, looking for a sneaky big-time play. Jigz looking for an opportunity too. Andy looking for the root, not going to find it. Sikkim hits Baskin and Mask, but I don't think it'll slow him down too much with that Fire Giant buff.
BaRRaCCuDDa at the head of the storm. I just don't see how MM will try and defend this, but if andinster keeps getting off the consistent crush damage, it might have some effect.
I don't know, because you saw Scary D and JeffHindla that ate the brunt of that damage then, and just to sustain him back up with the Monolith and with the opportunity of the Fire Giant. Mask in the sky though, fineokay has no escape this time round, and a good dunk onto Jigz one may prevent the ultimate coming out from Jigz too, who then has to ult himself, but he's still in trouble, and he will fall down too. Big grouping from a lot of damage there, but it's still not enough. Luminosity are running away with this, Taco.
There's actually no way for them to escape from BaRRaCCuDDa, who's just on an absolute tear of the entire MM squad right now. And he's able to pick one up, but being stationary for so long, Scary D just runs right in. And now, with Baskin and BaRRaCCuDDa surviving alongside his Scary, there's no way this Titan is dead.
I'm not going to lie, Taco, I'm going back to this. It's all objective control. The whole game from Luminosity was about controlling the objectives. They lose the first blood in mid lane, which was a bit of a misstep from them at the beginning, knowing fineokay was coming in. But great work, great work.
That actually looked like an EU versus NA game.
Yeah.
For like the entire time, because the objective control that Luminosity just established from the start, MM had no idea how to respond to that. And it's like you said, they had no initiation.
Yeah, big